infidelity. I will be speaking on infidelity. It has taken me a long time to actually want to talk about this. Although it's taken time, I'm finding myself to where I've always known when I talk about this, because honestly, it's a lot, that it is to reach the people that it need to reach and to awaken minds of people, because a lot of people are not aware when it comes to infidelity, what happens on all sides. So I will be talking not only as a wife, but also a person who at one time, when I was much younger, a side woman. And during that time, when I was young, of the consequences and actions you as well go through that many do not discuss, many do not talk about, nor do people realize. Now, with that being said, in life, we all go through things, and a lot of times you learn, and there are people who never learn. These are my experiences that I have learned from, okay? I have learned from this, and this is why you don't do these things for a lot of reasons. But I'm going to start out when I was young. I was in my early 20s, mid 20s. I had just got out of my first marriage where my husband, he cheated and, end up marrying the person that he was with, had a child, everything, before we was even divorced. And out of that, because I was with this person ever since I was 13, so he was all I knew. He's all I ever known. So when everything happened, he had a history of infidelity, okay? It was a history. But by the time we got out of it, and I ended up divorcing him, everything that happened literally made me a different person, okay? I allowed it to change me. I didn't care. I didn't care about nobody, nothing, And it's like, and relationships was foreign to me, so I didn't know anything about relationships. So when I first started actually talking to people, I realized how the dating scene was. Like, it really wasn't a thing to where people just casually did things, not commit or whatever. So it was foreign to me. But with that being said, is that I learned fairly quickly how the world works outside of relationships or marriages, okay? So with that being said, is I participated in things, honestly, I shouldn't have. I was with married men, and I will tell you, during this time, to where when men would come to me or whatever, I didn't care about these men, okay? I did not care, and I cannot speak for every woman like this. I'm speaking for me. But I do know that there are people out here like this. There are people who are operating through hurt and pain just like I was. And I didn't care about nobody. And honestly, even at that time, I even hated men, to be honest. So it wasn't necessarily going after the woman. I wanted to destroy him. And honestly, at that time, I did not know who I was. So it was working like on a spiritual level. And I had no understanding at that time what I was doing. And it wasn't only from that divorce, it was from a lot of things that happened. And it got even more intense, especially when I got raped and everything. Me seeing married men came after that. Like, I just really went down the destruction of, like, just super sexual and all that kind of stuff. I became deeper and deeper lost in my thoughts. I didn't care about what the man said. There would be men telling me, they would try to tell me about their wives. A lot of them wouldn't. And I remember telling them, like, I didn't want to hear anything they had to say, because if they was a good man, they wouldn't be here with me, and they wouldn't be there with another woman. Needless to say, the relationship didn't last long, because they wanted to find somebody who actually believed them, because I didn't. And like I told them, I said, it's coming from somebody who was actually married before. I'm not stupid. I know what y'all do. And so needless to say, those type of relationships didn't last long, because I wasn't what they wanted at that time. They wanted somebody to believe their lies. There were people as well who wanted to be heard. And it's like this, like, why are you talking to me? Why can't you talk this way to your wife or the person that you were with? Because that will solve a lot. You don't need to go outside the marriage. Now, I would have these conversations with these people, like, literally. I wasn't the type of woman they were interested in or looking for. You get what I'm saying? Like, they wanted somebody to literally believe them, their lies. And I wasn't it. I wasn't that woman at all. It will literally go from you know, doing things you shouldn't do to basically a lecture, okay? So they didn't want to hear that. But with that being said is, I remember a certain time, I was like 29, and it's like a light bulb came on. And it was like, um, why are you doing to these women what was done to you? And I'm like, you are absolutely correct. And I stopped. Once I stopped, you know, I would find that men will lie to me about not being married just to get with me. You get what I'm saying? Like, people don't understand, like, when you change your train of thought, then you get like other men will come to you because they know you made it plain, like, I don't want to see married men. You have to be single. So they will lie, they will hide the fact that they're married, okay? Now, during this time of them hiding, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about, a lot of these men were on dating apps. A lot of these men was just out there. They wasn't just only like meeting, they were meeting like multiple people, and it was long before me. Some of these people, their wives will call me, and I will have conversations with them because they will let me know, hey, this person's married. And I was like, I did not know that. And I remember one wife saying in particular, she said, I figured that. She said, because she said the conversations y'all had, she said, I can tell you did not know that he was married. And so she was willing to listen and stuff like that because I didn't. And I just told her, and I would tell the wives to tell their husbands to leave me alone, do not call me, and to block me. I wouldn't tell them. I would literally block the man or whatever for them to never call me again. And so the wives be like, and honestly, they were understanding, you know. And it really, really hit. So I'm like, you know, that's why I started changing things about men. I'm like, why I keep getting these men? Because you got, later on, I didn't realize something. So I wrote a list, pros and cons and stuff like that. So I started changing things about me. God was taking me through a change, you know what I'm saying, all this stuff. I disconnected from people, like all this stuff, stopped doing things. And a lot of it took years. Now, I'm going to put it like this, and I'm not trying to be funny or nothing. Ultra religious people will have you believing that things are like just whatever because you're not willing, which is a lie and would deter people from Christianity. But the thing is, what I found, the deeper the sin, it takes a hot minute. And that's why I hate for people like this to speak, and they have these plethora of people, thousands and millions of people following them, and they speak in this absurdity to where they make people believe that, hey, you're not good enough because if you gotta go through the process of years, and you're not really trying, which is a lie, by the way, which is a lie. Everything, when you live in this world, it takes time to get out. Now, with that being said, you have to be willing, in which I was a willing participant in not to be that way. You get what I'm saying? So I allowed God to do the work within me to get, because not only was I with me, I had insatiable lust and perversion of spirits. That was what's wrong with me. And how that spirit attached with me was through rape, okay? So I became very lustful, very perverse, you know, and people noticed that. They literally noticed the difference. They didn't know what happened or why, but they knew I went from day to night, and it was because I had these demonic spirits in me. And so that's what happened. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you from a physical standpoint of view into a spiritual, what people don't understand. Okay, how it works and how a person can go from literally day to night. And this is how. Because things happen. You may not know what or understand, but it happens. Now, with that being said, is I started paying attention to things even from years ago when I was out there in the world with these men, to me changing, not want to be with these men. And then also being in a marriage before and even after all this stuff, you know, of what it's like to be the wife and what she experienced and things within the marriage, and also the side piece, you know, whatever. And I can't, like I said, I cannot say this for everybody, but I know for me, because I've always been a person, which I did not know at the time, that I got my gifts and everything from God. I was learning, but I did go through a lot of spiritual things, because I was also walking in disobedience from God. I was running, but also I was dealing with things from, also because I was also known to draw in spirits for other people. Now, does that work for everybody? No, I would not say that, because there were people out there to where, but you will experience things because you reap what you sow. And this is my first one.